A freight train of a punch connected square on his nose. Fireworks exploded behind his eyes, blinding him, freezing time and turning his legs into jelly. This unranked, washed-up has-been of a boxer should have gone down. But out of the brain fog, a single word emerged from his jumbled mind. No! James Braddock, an unranked, injury-prone fighter, working as a longshoreman in the port of Hoboken, said no. Refusing to give up, he wiped the blood from his face and went back to work. He went on to do it again in 4 more consecutive fights before contending for the heavyweight championship in 1934. During the worst of the Great Depression, when hope was a distant dream, James Braddock emerged as the hero the working poor needed. He was a quintessential everyman, rising from grueling hardship, fighting not just for a championship, but for the enduring spirit of every soul crushed by hard times. When he won the heavyweight title, this underdog earned the moniker by which he is still known, the Cinderella Man. If financial markets are a battle, July featured a comeback story similar to Cinderella Man's. For many months now, the undisputed champion of the markets has been the world's largest companies, big tech. Arrogant and brash, they have thumped all contenders, particularly the hapless small-cap stocks, financials, and utilities, month after month, until July 2024. That's when the story changed. Here's the tale of the tape. Amazingly, small-cap stocks, shown here in purple, pulled themselves off the canvas even as the tech-heavy NASDAQ, shown in orange, nosedived. In the process, investors also developed a new infatuation with financials, shown in blue, and even utilities, shown in green. Trends were relatively similar, if a little less extreme, in Canada. Just like the Cinderella Man story, this is a story you and I can feel good about. Canadian stocks were on the canvas, leaving Canadian investors feeling left out. Now, the S&P/TSX 60 is beginning to close the gap. More importantly, the Canadian stock market is, once again, making new all-time highs, led by the Canadian banks. This change is less a passing of the baton as it is a catching up with technology shares. We like to see lots of stocks from different sectors advancing when the stock market rises. It increases the likelihood that the growth in stocks is reflecting changing conditions in the economy, or at least the expectation of changing conditions in the economy down the road, as opposed to just herding behavior. For months now, skeptics have been warning of imminent disaster as tech went it alone. Now, with much broader participation in the rally, those skeptics need to find something new to worry about. Currently, over 70% of U.S. stocks are trading above their long-term averages. This is a sharp recovery from approximately 55% just a few months ago. In Canada, the number is over 80% above their long-term moving averages. So, with Canadian banks and utilities finally recovering, can Canadian investors enjoy the rest of the summer with nothing to fear? Sadly, no. In fact, those traveling to the U.S. for a family vacation will be paying more because the loonie doesn't have the same grit that the Cinderella Man had. Ironically, the loonie's weakness is actually a benefit for Canadian investors in the U.S. Indeed, so far this year, the loonie has fallen over 4%. This is another reason for Canadians to diversify outside of Canada. Our anemic growth prospects relative to our neighbors, as well as a housing affordability crisis that is now morphing into a condo crash, suggests that the Canadian economy is materially weaker than the U.S. If that's true, it implies that the Bank of Canada will have to cut rates further than the U.S. And broadly speaking, that will make the loonie less attractive in comparison. I expect that the 72-cent level will not hold. Overall, July's performance underscores a couple of timeless investment truths. Diversification, both among sectors and geographically, helps smooth out the extremes of the market. Like the Cinderella Man, Investors need grit to hold during periods of underperformance, to get up off the canvas and stay in the fight. Brianna and I will be here, ducking and weaving. Enjoy the rest of your summer. We'll talk soon.